Good morning. How about that Romney-Ryan ticket? Mitt Romney, Paul Ryan, next President and Vice President of the United States. It's August, so it made me think back to about 20 years ago. In August, I would always, about this time of year, I was in high school, and I'd be in what we called two-a-day football practices. Some of you have experienced this. And I remember laying on the field early in the morning, dreaming that I was going to play in the NFL. And then I realized I'm 5'8", 180. Not going to happen. My daughter, 5 years old, in the car a couple of weeks ago, talking about gymnastics in the Olympics, told me she's going to be the best gymnast in the world. Her 3-year-old sister said, me too. And my son, he changes his dreams and aspirations daily, but you're probably asking, what does this have to do with this election? It has to do about what this country believes in the direction that we are going to go. Because I grew up, and each of you grew up, believing you could go anywhere and be anything and do anything that you wanted to do. It's the American dream. And the President of the United States right now does not believe that. He wants us to be like sheep, equal outcomes, not equal opportunities. It's destroying the opportunity society. How do we restore this? How do we restore the culture with which we were raised? We elect Mitt Romney, President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the distinct honor of introducing somebody now that's a friend of mine. His sign is right over here. You'll see John Thrasher, Florida Senate. Let me share a little bit with you. Senator Thrasher was a Speaker of the Florida House, a very successful speaker, is currently a state senator, and I can tell you that he stands shoulder to shoulder with Governor Scott in Florida, making sure that we do the right things to get people back to work, which is what we need out of Washington, D.C. The other thing I will tell you is Senator Thrasher took over the Republican Party of Florida a few years ago when we were going through some pretty rough times. And he restored this party to sound fiscal responsibility and to put us in a position where we're going to be able to win this election this year for Mitt Romney. So I would ask you to please give a warm, warm welcome to Senator John Thrasher.
Thank you, Lenny. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to St. Augustine. We're glad you're here. Can you believe that the next President of the United States has sought, during this election, to really kick off this bus tour right here in North Florida on the campus of Flagler College, this great university. Isn't that wonderful? And I know each and every one of you are going to leave here more enthused than you were, ready to get out and fight for the next President and Vice President of the United States, Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan. Yeah! We have a great bunch of wonderful people here today to talk to you about why this election is so important. Lenny talked about it. It's about choices for America. And we know we're on the right side of those choices. And we want to bring the rest of America with us. And we have the candidates to do that. So I want to tell you about one of the people that are here today to help us talk about that message. She's a great friend of mine. She's a great friend of yours. She's the Attorney General of the state of Florida. She's the one who fought President Obama on Obamacare and continues to fight it. She's the one who worked with Governor Scott and the Florida legislature to fight pill mills in the state of Florida and save countless lives. She is a fantastic public servant. She is a great supporter of our next President of the United States. Please welcome Attorney General Pam Bondi. Come on, yeah.
I love you too. Good morning. Yay. Thank you all. out to support Governor Romney. We are so excited. And let me tell you, a leader leads by example, not by name. And we have experienced 4 years of a failed leader. And Mitt Romney leads by example with everything he's done with his family values and his positive campaigning. And we are so excited that he's here with us today on this beautiful, beautiful day. I have the pleasure, oh, and one more thing. The first thing he's going to do when he's elected is what? Repeal Obamacare. Woo! Yeah. And as you know, I firmly agree with him. But thank you very much. And I now have the very distinct honor of introducing a dear friend of mine. And he was elected to the U.S. Senate in 2010 when I was elected. And his conservative values continue to remain so strong for us in Washington, D.C. And he is continuing the fight. And we need him in D.C. And doesn't he make us proud throughout the entire country? I am so proud to introduce to you Senator Marco Rubio.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. Thank you guys for all coming. Is there a rally going on? We have had a great 72 hours. We just got to meet the next Vice President of the United States over the weekend, Paul Ryan. And in a few moments, you're going to get to hear from the next President of the United States, Mitt Romney. And I think what's clear at this moment, what we have learned over the last 3 days, is that this election is not just going to be a choice between two parties or two people, but it's literally a choice about our identity as a nation and as a people. For over 200 years, this nation has been special. Unlike any other country in the history of the world. In fact, better than any other country in the history of the world. But each generation of American has had to decide to keep it that way. That's never been automatic, and it's never happened on its own. And this is our time. This is this generation's chance to make the same decisions that those Americans before us made. That we want to be special. That we want to stay exceptional. That we will not become like the rest of the world. That's what this election is about. And in that realm, leadership matters. Now look, government's not the most important institution in society. After all, what happens in your house is more important than what happens in the White House. But it matters. Who's in charge matters. And we know that here in Florida. Because although times are still tough for many, many people, Florida's doing a little better because we have leadership in Tallahassee. We have a Republican legislature that refuses to grow government and raise taxes. And we have a Republican governor, Rick Scott, who knows that jobs are created when people go out and start a business or expand an existing business. Who knows that jobs are not created by politicians. They're created by people who take a risk, who start a business out of the spare bedroom of their home. Yes, in violation of the zoning code, but they do it, and it works. Just imagine how much better things could be here in Florida. Just imagine how many more jobs and businesses would be created if Rick Scott had a partner in Washington, D.C. And so it's a unique thrill for me, an honor I rarely get. We're not always together on the stump, and so it's a great honor for me to introduce and bring up to the stage now our governor, our great governor, Rick Scott.
Good morning. What a great senator we have in Marco Rubio. What do you think? And a great Attorney General in Pam Bondi. And a great senator in John Thrasher. And a great party chairman in Lenny Curry. Well, thank all of you for starting your day here with us here in beautiful St. Augustine on this campus. This is a beautiful campus. It's great to see so many of you here. And what are we all excited about? Mitt Romney. Our next president, Mitt Romney, and he's picked a great vice president, Paul Ryan. They're going to be great. As you probably know, we're one of the first and we're in the early primary states, and we put Mitt Romney on the map because he won our great state in the primary. So you did it. You did it by going out and supporting Mitt Romney in the primary, so congratulations. As we all know, we cannot afford another 4 years of Barack Obama. His policies have failed us. He believes government knows best. What do you think? No. He actually believes that his policies are working. What do you think? No. He doesn't get it. We know. You know. Mitt Romney knows. Paul Ryan knows that Barack Obama's policies have absolutely failed us. We cannot stand 4 more years of Barack Obama. Now, as you know, our economy nationally is struggling. It's stagnant. Unemployment's sitting still. It's not getting better. Here in Florida, even though we have a president that is making it much more difficult to do well, in Florida, our economy is getting better. Our unemployment has dropped faster than any state but one in the last 18 months. 127,000 private sector jobs. Just think if we had a president and a vice president that knew that you build businesses. Government doesn't build businesses. Think what this state could do then if we had the right president. We are going to have the right president, and we're going to have the right vice president. Now, Governor Romney, he knows how to create jobs because you know what? He did it. He did it, and he was really successful at it. And we all should be very proud of what Governor Romney did in the private sector. He was very successful. That's what we want as our next president. Now, we put a lot of effort into making sure Governor Romney can win in Florida. In 2008, we had a deficit of 565,000 registered voters to the Democrats. In the last 18 months, we've reduced that by 150,000. In the last 4 years, we've reduced it by over 200,000. Why is that important? In 2008, Barack Obama won the state by 236,000 votes. So we have already, the Republican Party, you have already changed the dynamic. We have now 200,000 more registered Republicans than we had before. So it puts us in the position to win. Now, we want everyone that's legal to go out and vote, right? But the right word there is legal. Now, can you imagine the federal government is trying to slow our ability down to make sure only legal voters get to vote in our races? What are they thinking? Well, you have done the right thing in Florida. If we stay active, if we continue to raise money, this state has been great for Governor Romney, great for the Republican National Committee. We're one of the top 3 or 4 states every month raising money for this governor to make sure he's the next president. So keep up the good work. Get people out to vote. Hold signs, show up at things like this, tell everybody what you're doing. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce the next president of the greatest country in the world, Mitt Romney.
Thank you, Governor Scott. Thank you also to Senator Marco Rubio. Thank you to Pam Bondi, your Attorney General. And thanks to you for coming out this morning to welcome me to this great state, to this great city. It's wonderful to be with you. Thank you. Now, I understand there are even more people outside those barricades than inside here, so to the people way out there, thank you for coming today. Looks like we just didn't have enough of those mags to get everybody in time, so to those that are out there, I appreciate you getting up early and coming here, and we're going to get a best chance we can to say hi to you and wave to you, but thank you for being here and showing your support. This is a, you hear them out there? It sounds... I've got a promise for you guys. There are better days ahead when we get a better leader in Washington. This is still the greatest nation on earth. I know there are people around the world who are always critical of America, have something negative to say our greatest days are in the past. Baloney. We just won more Olympic medals than any other nation on earth, and you also just saw we just landed on Mars and took a good look at what's going on there. And I know the Chinese are planning on going to the moon, and I hope they have a good experience doing that, and I hope they stop in and take a look at our flag that was put there 43 years ago. Now, when President Obama was candidate Obama, he promised everyone in this country the moon, but he never got off the launch pad. And so we have a very different approach. I'm delighted to have picked as my running mate Paul Ryan, a great leader, a man who has proven that he knows how to solve problems. He did not just go to Washington and become involved in public service to try and make a name for himself. He instead went to make things better for the American people. He attacks problems. And he recognizes that there are honest differences between honest people, and he looks to find ways to find common ground, to bring people together. He's come up with ideas that are very different than the president's. The president's idea, for instance, for Medicare was to cut it by $700 billion. That's not the right answer. We want to make sure that we preserve and protect Medicare. The president's plan for our budget deficit was to make it worse. And Paul Ryan and I are going to get America to cut our spending and to finally get us to a balanced budget. Now, as you know, about 4 years ago, candidate Obama was speaking in Denver to the Democratic Convention. And he got up there and made a lot of promises. And he did it in front of those Greek columns. I don't think he'll be standing in front of Greek columns at this year's convention. He won't want to remind people of Greece, because that's where he's taking our country if we don't get off the road we're on. He said that he would be able to measure progress and measure success by a whole series of his own standards. Number one was being able to create jobs. But I hope he understands that he hasn't done that. 23 million Americans out of work or stopped looking for work and can't find the jobs they need to put food on the table for their families. It's unacceptable. It's a moral failure for a nation as successful as ours not to have created these jobs. Mr. President, by your own measure, you failed to deliver the jobs Americans need. He said he measured progress also by whether people were able to have a good job that kept them in their home and paid their mortgage. Well, 8.5 million homes foreclosed, a record level, is not success, Mr. President. We need to help the people in Florida with housing policies and get housing prices up again and let people stay in their homes. The President also said he'd cut the deficit. Remember that? He'd cut it in half. He more than doubled it. And the right course for this country is to have a president that will work to actually rein in the spending. I'm going to take every government program and apply this test. Is this program so critical it's worth borrowing money from China to pay for it? And if it's not, we'll get rid of it. And so with a record which has been as disappointing as the record that he's demonstrated over the last 4 years, the president's campaign has resorted to a very unusual tactic. It's smear, it's dirt, it's distortion, it's deception, it's dishonesty. It diminishes the office of the presidency itself. The kind of campaign we're going to is one that talks about how we can keep America strong, create more jobs, balance our budget, put Americans into homes that they can afford. We're going to get America working again. We love America. We know where this country needs to go, and we're going to get it done. This president is out of ideas, and he's out of excuses, and we're going to make sure in November that Florida puts him out of office. Now, I'm convinced that our economy is going to come roaring back. I know some people are beginning to wonder, after, 4 years of the kind of distress that we've seen, we're tired of being tired in this country. We want someone who can lead us back to the greatness of America. I know what we have to do to make that happen. There are 5 things I'm going to do. 5 things, if we do them, you're going to see this economy come roaring back. Create the jobs that we need. See rising incomes again. More take-home pay, more jobs will result from 5 simple things. Number 1, we're going to take advantage of the energy we have in this country. Natural gas, coal, oil, wind, solar, nuclear. Number 2, we're going to make sure that our workforce and our kids have the skills they need. And by that I mean this. It is unacceptable for this nation that invented public education to have our schools in the bottom third or bottom quartile. We need to make sure that American schools are the best in the world. We'll do that by making our priority the kids and their parents and the teachers, and we're putting the teachers union behind. And let me tell you, the skills to work and good, plentiful jobs will mean something important for the entire nation, because we believe in work. We believe in the dignity of work, and that's why we're going to do one more thing. We're going to put work back in welfare. Number 3, we're going to have trade that works for America. I want to promote trade. I want to open up new markets for American goods. We can do a lot more in Latin America and other parts of the world. And we also need to crack down on nations that cheat and don't play by the rules. When China steals our technology, when China steals our intellectual property, our patents, our designs, our know-how, when they manipulate their currency, we're going to say no more. Cheating must have consequences. Number 4, I've already mentioned. Number 4, you're not going to get people to take the risk of starting a business and investing their life savings into a new enterprise if they think that America's on the road to Greece. And foreign companies aren't going to come here with their capital and build facilities in Florida and other parts of our country if they think we're headed towards Greece. And so what we're going to have to do is show them we're not headed that way. We're finally going to tackle our deficit and finally get America on track to have a balanced budget. And number 5, we're going to champion small business. We're going to help small business people get their businesses growing again. How do you champion small business? Well, you make sure you keep their taxes on business down. The president wants to raise taxes on small business. That's the wrong way to go. That'll put hundreds of thousands of people out of work. If his tax policies get put in place, the National Federation of Independent Businesses has concluded it will cost us 700,000 jobs. My plan, those 5 steps I talk about, will create 12 million new jobs and rising incomes again. That's the better direction. You know, to help small business, we've also got to make sure we do a better job helping home builders and letting people stay in their homes. I'm so concerned with what we've seen in this country. Let me tell you some of the things we've got to do to get small business and home building rising again and see home prices rise again. Do you know the government owns about 200,000 homes in this country? Let's get them out of the government's hands and put them back in the hands of the public. Let people own these. Put people in these homes. And you know, the president put in place this big financial regulatory bill known as Dodd-Frank. 8,000 new pages of regulations have come out. I mean, there's some stories here that are amazing. They have an idea. They want to simplify the 3-page mortgage form, application form, and so they put out a guide for how to simplify it. The guide is 1,100 pages, all right? That's your government at work. I want to make sure we re-regulate our financial services sector. We have to have regulation, but we need it modern and up to date. When you have massive regulations, it makes it harder for small banks and regional banks to be able to make the loan modifications they need to make and to also get credit to people. I'm going to go to work to help the housing market in Florida and across the country. And the best thing I can do is to get people good jobs with rising incomes so we can buy homes again. You know, the president said something the other day. I couldn't believe he said it. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, I read it. I said, no, he didn't really say that, did he? He said, you know, if you have a business, you didn't build it, someone else did that. And then he said, you know, you took me out of context. And so I looked at the context. Did you read the context? The context is worse than the quote. All right? He says, if you're successful, why, you may think it's because you're smart. Well, there are a lot of smart people, he says. And you may think it's because you work hard, but there are a lot of people who work hard. I thought, where's he going with this? Doesn't he understand that in America, what makes our nation so great, what has allowed us to outperform the world, what allowed us to achieve the extraordinary things we've achieved over the centuries, is the recognition that American people pursuing their dreams, individual initiative, risk-taking, hard work, smarts, that the individual in this country is what drives us to be so successful. It is not government that builds businesses and makes us great. It is free American people that make America the hope of the earth. And it began from the very beginning of the nation. This nation was founded on the principle seen by our founders, written in the Declaration of Independence. It said that our rights did not come from government. Our rights were endowed by the Creator himself. And among those rights are life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness. That last phrase says that we as individuals are free to pursue happiness as we choose. The circumstance of birth does not limit what we can accomplish here. Our dreams, perhaps some good luck, some hard work, some smarts, those things combine to create successes, and the successes of some do not make us poorer, they make us better off. I will not apologize for success at home, and I'll never apologize for America abroad. We're a nation of people who strive, who reach, who go for achievement of any kind. Let me tell you, when someone decides at their workplace they're going to go back to community college and perhaps get some additional skills, when they do, we say, congratulations, way to go, made it happen. When the kid makes the honor roll, we congratulate that young man now or young woman. I realized that to make the honor roll, they had to get to the school, and to get to the school, they had to go on a school bus, and to get on the school bus, they had to have a school bus driver. But if the kid makes the honor roll, I say congratulations to the kid. I don't say congratulations to the bus driver. And so if you have a business, if you have a promotion, if you have an honor roll, if you have any recognition, if you have any kind of success that you fought for, as a matter of fact, whether you succeeded or failed, if you tried, I congratulate you. That's what makes America the nation we are. You know, I remember some years ago, I was at a Boy Scout Court of Honor, celebrating some of the young men who had become Eagle Scouts and had received other recognition in the Boy Scouts. And there was a scoutmaster there from Monument, Colorado. And I was sitting up on the stand at one of these Formica tables. Next to me, I was at the end of the table, was this American flag on a flagpole. Beautiful flag with gold tassels all the way around it. This scoutmaster spoke about the flag that his scout troop had purchased, and they wanted to make it very special, so they had it flown above their state capitol, and then they sent it to Washington, D.C. to fly above the Capitol building in Washington, and then they had one more idea. Let's have it go up on the space shuttle, they said. And so they contacted NASA and said, would you take our flag on the space shuttle? And NASA said, you know, space is at a premium in space. I mean, we just can't take souvenirs for everybody. But after they called their congressman and their senator, you know, they found a way to take that flag with them up on the space shuttle. And these boys were so proud as they watched from their homeroom that shuttle launch and saw it go up in the air, and then they saw the shuttle explode in the air. And this scoutmaster said that the boys, of course, were devastated, and he called NASA about a week or two after the Challenger disaster, and he said, have you by any chance found any remnant of our flag to keep as a recognition of the heroic nature of the space program? And they said no, they hadn't. He called, he said every week, day after day after day, week after week, he'd call, and still they found nothing. And then he was reading a newspaper article several months later, I think it was in September, and in reading this article, it said something about some of the debris that had been found, and they mentioned a flag. And so he called NASA again and said, have you found some part of our flag? They said, as a matter of fact, yes. And so they brought the boys together to have a presentation. And he said the gentleman from NASA came in and handed them a little plastic container. And they opened up the container, and there was their flag in perfect condition. And then he said, it's on the flagpole next to Mr. Romney at the end of the table. And I looked over at that flag, and I put my hand on it and pulled it out. It was like electricity was running through my arm as I was holding onto that flag. You see, to me, it represented the people who strive in this nation, the people who reach out, who make discoveries that enhance America. It's the nature of who we are, the recognition of the greatness of the individual, of people who take risks of all kinds to better themselves, but more importantly, to better coming generations. That's been the story of America. We have known as Americans that the future is brighter for our children and for their children, even than what we've enjoyed in our own lives. We must restore that. The passion and faith of America is still there in the hearts of the American people. We have to have leaders who understand it, who will draw on the greatness of the American people, who will solve the problems we have. I will restore American strength, strengthen our homes, strengthen our economy, strengthen our military, second to none. We're going to keep America the hope of the earth. Thank you so much, Florida. I'm counting on you to help me win in November. Thank you so much.